Story 1. 22. 8K. R. ProRevenge. Posted by U. Bransanen. 6 days ago. 5. 2. My boss stole my Super Bowl tickets. So I made him lose a major client. With the NFL playoffs back on, I thought you all might enjoy this football-related revenge story. I'm a huge 49ers fan. The rabid all-day tailgate in the parking lot type. A few years ago, we made it back to the Super Bowl. I was working at a consulting firm with a handful of accounts I would interact with directly. One client in particular knew how big of a Niners fan I was. I was the day-to-day lead on his account. He really liked working with me and we became friends, often grabbing drinks or dinner after our meetings. He had access to a pair of extra company seats to the game, and as a thank you, wanted to give them to me as a gift. He passed the tickets over to the partner on that account, who I will refer to as Dickhead Partner, to be given to me as a surprise. The game came and went. We lost. It sucked. The next time we met, we went to drinks afterward and he mentioned, "Hey, by the way, why didn't you go to the game? I heard someone else was in your seats." I asked what game. He said the Super Bowl. Confused, I answered I didn't have seats to the Super Bowl. He told me that he gave Dickhead Partner a pair of his company tickets for me as a gift so I could attend. I had zero idea what he was talking about. He looked shocked, told me to quietly ask around about it and get back to him. When I was back in the office the next week, I found out through one of the secretaries that Dickhead Partner had given a pair of Super Bowl tickets to another one of his clients as a gift from our company. I might have let this sort of thing go to keep the peace under different circumstances, but these were seats on the 30-yard line to see the fucking 49ers play in the Super Bowl. I was pissed. I considered confronting Dickhead Partner myself, but realized it was the client who had noticed I wasn't there in the first place. So if I let him handle it, there would be no blowback on me. So I texted him, "Hey, I just wanted to thank you so much for thinking of me with those seats. It appears that they were given to another one of our firm's clients." He texted back right away, in all caps, "Are you shitting me? ? And then pretend I never told you. Let me handle." He followed up with me about formulating a plan. A few days later, we were asked to come down for a meeting in their office. The client requested the partner be present. Not entirely unusual. So Dickhead Partner and I hopped a flight the next week and headed over to their office. Little did Dickhead Partner know, my client had orchestrated a wonderfully awkward little show to catch him red-handed. When we entered the conference room, it was all the usual suspects along with a woman in her 30s we didn't recognize. My client immediately introduces Dickhead Partner. "This is Stephanie such and such, VP from other department. She wanted to sit in on this meeting. Hey, Op. You guys must already know her from the Super Bowl." She then responds as she goes to shake my hand, "Oh, I don't think so. Did we meet there? I'm sorry if I forgot." Client responds, "Geez Steph, how much did you have to drink? They were sitting right next to you." Client looks at me, and I say, "Sorry, client. I wasn't there. Are you thinking of someone else?" At this point, Dickhead Partner is looking visibly uncomfortable, probably trying to come up with an excuse. He starts in with a new HM. When Stephanie says over him, "No. So and so, from other company, we're in the other seats. By the way." I was wondering why we gave company seats to those guys. Is there a project we're working with them on that I don't know about? Obviously not. They were in completely different industries. It would be like Coca-Cola partnering with John Deere. Dickhead partner lets out an R again. And the client immediately speaks over him, asking dickhead partner, "I gave you those tickets for op." At this point, dickhead partner is turning bright red. He responds, well, he wasn't able to make it. So he must have given the seats away to someone else. And turns to me looking for me to cover for him. Client smirks at me. I respond, what are you talking about? Client, you gave me tickets to the Super Bowl. Question mark. Client suddenly raises his voice, dickhead partner. Those tickets were a personal thank you gift from me to op. Did you give them away to someone else? Pause. Was it another client? Question mark. Dickhead partner butts in with maybe something got mixed up in the office. Client went quiet for what probably seemed like an eternity to dickhead partner. He then looked down, grabbed his portfolio and iPad, put them into his briefcase, and said, "I think this meeting is over. Op, it seems as if I owe you a thank you gift. Let's go to lunch. Stephanie, you're welcome to join. ... Dickhead partner, I need to evaluate our relationship. Please go back home and expect to hear from us next week." Dickhead partner suggests he would like to join, presumably to do damage control. And Stephanie sternly tells him, "I don't think that's a good idea," and asks the front desk to see dickhead partner out. As soon as he is in the elevator, we all break out laughing hysterically. Stephanie wasn't really a VP. Just an employee at the company who client had drafted into helping with his pre-planned meeting skit. But she did end up coming to lunch with us, and was a fellow Niners fan and total blast to hang out with. On our way to the restaurant, I got a desperate text from dickhead partner saying I needed to cover for the firm and that we could discuss things when I got back. I replied, "Yes. We need to talk. But I'll see what I can do." Client told me to wait a couple hours and then respond to him. 1. To expect invoices for the resale value of the Super Bowl tickets. Resale is way above face value. It was over $10,000, as well as our lunch. He picked a pricey spot and made a big show of overspending, and that he expected him to be paid immediately. 2. Expected I be given a direct apology. 3. Expected a written apology to his company for what he considered theft. And 4. He will only interact with me or another one of our firm's partners. Never dickhead partner. This whole thing caused a stir with the other partners. And I actually came off looking great because it appeared that I had made a good faith effort to save the client for the firm despite being the victim in this situation. The client would transfer to another partner, which meant dickhead partner lost his profit share on any work with them. And the other partners in the firm made dickhead partner pay the invoices back out of his salary. In retrospect, I really have no idea what the hell the guy was thinking. Did he seriously believe the client would just not notice me not thanking him for Super Bowl tickets? Anyway, the well was kind of poisoned for me there long term because dickhead partner wasn't going anywhere. I left the firm a few months later for a much better position. Client ultimately terminated their relationship with that firm a year later. He actually now works with a good friend of mine at a competing firm. I'm still pissed I missed out on the Super Bowl even though we lost. Hoping we make it back this year so I can finally go to one in person. Go Niners. 637 comments. Award. Share. Save. 6 people here. If you're enjoying this video, like, comment, subscribe, and turn notifications on. Story 2. $3. 6K. ProRevenge. Posted by Eric Smith 98105. 1 month ago. Young firefighter disrespects a lieutenant, so I shame him and get him to quit. I'm not sure if this is pro or not, but I got revenge on a douchebag I used to volunteer firefight with. This was in the early, mid-2000s. I decided to join the local fire department as a volunteer firefighter. I did it for about 5 years and it was great. Training consisted of 3 months of fire training, 2 nights a week and all day Saturday, and then you would go to EMT training, another 3 months of training. I was about a year and I was asked to help train some new recruits. One of the lieutenants, Amy, was a short, middle-aged woman who was so full of fire she could make a grown man cry. One of those people who commands both fear and respect wherever she went. Honestly, a great lieutenant and great person. When she wasn't being a drill sergeant, she was extremely kind and generous. She would often bake people cakes and treats and deliver them to the various stations in our department. However, in this new academy class that I was asked to help with, there was a cocky kid that we will call Aaron. Aaron talked big during the training and acted like he was the all-American hero. Like he was going to be the lead badass in Backdraft 2. He performed moderately well in training but far from the top of the class. He gets assigned to Amy's station, which is a pretty quiet station in the department. A few months after he starts, Amy swings by my station one night to say hi. She brings us the motherlode cake from Claim Jumper, massive 6-layer cake. She explained that she had treated her crew to a night out at Claim Jumper, which must have cost a lot of money. I think she took out about 8 people and bought a whole cake to top it all off. They had eaten the first 2 layers, so she gave us the remaining 4. We thanked her profusely and she left. Back then, the big social media platform was MySpace, and I decided to look up some of the people in the department to make friends. I came across Aaron's page and I noticed some photos of him and the rest of his crew at Claim Jumper with Amy. However, when I read the comments, he bragged about how he had purposefully ordered the most expensive dinner, appetizers and drinks since Amy was buying. He bragged about how he was going to take advantage of her stupidity. This alone pissed me off because she was doing this super nice and generous. What an ungrateful, selfish dick. Then I read the rest of his profile. He had videos and memes on his page glorifying himself as a badass firefighter, bragging about running into burning building and how he was such a hero. He was flirting with girls, blatantly trying to impress them with how brave he is. Bear in mind, he just graduated from the academy 3 months prior and hadn't even gone to EMT school. He had never been to a house fire, and all he basically did was carry gear for the other fully qualified firefighters. It was too much for me to tolerate. So here is the revenge. I printed off copies of his MySpace page, including his comments about Amy and toxic bragging. I made multiple copies and took them to every station in the department. We all had pages, God him old, and a small keyboard at each station to send out text messages. I made an anonymous, all-staff page to everyone in the department. I had to keep it brief since I couldn't fit a ton of characters. But I sent out his MySpace info and told everyone about how he treated Amy. Within an hour, Aaron had cleared out his MySpace page of all posts, photos, etc. A couple of days later, he deleted his account. It's a good thing I made so many copies. Closing parenthesis. Immediately after this happened, he stopped coming to volunteer, and a few weeks later, I heard that he had quit. I later talked to Amy and admitted I was the one who sent the page. I told her I hated how he treated her and she thanked me. She seemed really sad and hurt by what he had done. But being the tough short lady that she was, she quickly got back into being an actual badass firefighter. She later started dating and married a fire chief that also helped at the academy. I've lost touch with her, but I hope she did well. She seemed pretty happy last time I saw her. Edit. I can't stop laughing about how this story ignited a firestorm about claim jumper's motherload cake. If you're enjoying this video, like, comment, subscribe, and turn notifications on. Story 3. $15. 9K. ProRevenge. Posted by You, Beat Me Saber. 8 months ago. 3, 2, 19, 12, 15, 2. Picture this. This happened 12 years ago. And I am still reaping my rewards. I worked for the company. They did 3-phase photography. Family and children photography. No wedding or events or anything. Straight studio work that was in a portable setting. Sittings booked for 10 minutes and we were supposed to shoot 30 to 50 a day. Yes. It is as wretched of a job as it sounds. It was fast, high energy and at times simply brutal. Pre-seller, they come in 2 to 3 weeks in advance and sell a special 10 by 13 portrait and book the appointment. The photographer, that's me in this instance, comes in for about a week and takes the pictures. The salesperson returns 2 weeks later with the special along with the other 6 poses I took and tries to sell you $400 worth of pictures. I was very good at what I did. The company sales average was $100 per customer per 50 customers. The more you shoot, the lower your quality. Because you spend less time taking care of details. And details sell pictures. My average was $175-ish per 150 to 200 customers. I was making this company a lot of money. And they consistently treated me like crap. Oh. The stories. Their business model was shoot as many sittings as you can as fast as you can. To them, shooting 50 with a $100 average was better than shooting 35 with a $150 average. Even though the profit margin was exactly the same. I never agreed with that and boss and I went round and round about it every week. They withheld raises because I didn't have enough sittings and took my bonuses because I wasn't meeting their quotas. So I figured out how to be fast, efficient, and damn good. That's another post. Closing parenthesis. So that's the background. Now the good stuff. Enter the jerk. The jerk is a pre-seller who lied to the customers. Lied to the store. And would book appointments from 9 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. even though the studio hours were 10 a.m. 7:00 p.m. He told every lie in the book and I think he even added a few of his own. Want to bring your dog? Family of 15? Sure. Bring 5 changes of clothes and I'll even have her do your makeup. I don't even do my own makeup. Come and get your picture taken and we will throw in a free toaster. And just to make it interesting, he would triple and quadruple book appointments, and when he ran out of those he would sell open appointments and tell people to just come in any time and my photographer will work you in. Grr. Just writing that makes me mad even after all these years. The biggest problem was he would waive the sitting fee or just not tell them. I was obligated to collect that $8.00 every time I didn't. It came out of my check. It was a freaking nightmare. I refused to work behind the jerk for these and 1,000 other reasons. I told boss that if they ever put me behind the jerk again I would quit. Which is exactly what happened. They knew he had been working at the store I was assigned and they lied about it. I immediately called boss and told him this was my last week and that he needed to make arrangements to get the photography equipment at the end of the shoot. I should have walked out. But I was young and dumb. It was a 3-day shoot and I shot 316 customers by myself. That is an insane amount of sittings. And nobody was happy. Every night, the store manager had to tell my customers to leave because the store was closed. People were lined up at 9 a.m. waiting for me. I took so much abuse that week. After a customer threw a shoe at me and another spit on my pizza. The store security guard brought a chair over and stayed with me almost the entire time I was there. I honestly cannot remember how many people were escorted out of the store because they acted a fool in my studio. It's been over a decade and I still have nightmares about that week. But, nobody came to get the equipment, so I start making phone calls. And plotting. Me. No. Because I quit. Boss. You didn't give me any notice, so I'm not accepting your resignation. I am sending you to Florida next week. Me. I'm an independent contractor. Remember, you can't make me go to Florida. This is not complicated. I quit. That's another post. Closing parenthesis. Boss. Just go to Florida. I don't have time for this now. You can quit in 3 weeks if you can hire a replacement. And he hangs up. Nope. Not going to Florida. I packed the equipment and took it home with me. The camera was a brand new Canon T2i 550D, and those were pricey back in 2010. I really didn't want to give it back. But it wasn't mine to keep. I had an idea. Boss was an absolute train wreck of a human. If he didn't want to do something, he would NT. If he could find someone else to do it, he would. I decided to use his own worst traits against him. Avoidance and procrastination. The next thing I did was take the company credit card and go to the nearest storage unit with climate control. I rented a unit and paid for the first month. But just one. I unloaded it all. Down to the last halogen light bulb. I took detailed pictures of everything and an inventory. I locked the door and walked away. At this point, there was nothing I could do but wait and hope Boss would continue to be the worthless wreck I knew him to be. Next, I called and reported the card stolen. Why? Because I knew if I didn't, that card would remain active and rent would be paid every month on time. And that just wasn't going to work for me. I cut it in half and sent it and the combination to the storage locker to Boss via FedEx. Along with a hand-painted sign that said, I quit. I also sent an email to HR telling them that I was terminating my contract and that Boss had the information on the equipment. This is probably the only sketchy thing I did. The person I emailed was out on medical leave. And I knew it. I could have sent that email to a dozen other people who worked there. But they might have paid attention to it. By the time she got back to the office, she had so many emails. She couldn't even begin to tackle them all. A month goes by and the police knock on my door. Okay. Sir, I wasn't expecting that. Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. The company has reported the equipment stolen and the police are there to investigate. I really thought I was going to jail. The cop that knocked on the door was fully expecting to take me away in handcuffs until I explained what was going on. I ended up taking copies of the emails to the police department as well as my copy of the contract with the storage unit. I also had a copy of the shipping label. Both my name and the company were listed on the contract. I had to make an official statement and jump through some hoops. The company had placed a monetary value of $12,000 on the studio rig, so potentially I was in a lot of trouble. Except I covered my ass. The police told me I was in the clear because the storage unit had their name on the contract. Their credit card was used to pay for it, and I had sent the combination and all the pertinent information to the company. I am very good at CYAWP, cover your ass with paper. At this point, I figure the gig is up because surely they're going to come to get this rig or send someone or something. Nope. Boss is still worthless. 2 more months go by. I get a call from the storage facility. They're about to cut the lock and auction the contents. I just about peed my pants, I was so excited. I called Boss again. He dodged my calls and ignored my emails to please call me immediately. I never specifically stated what I wanted to talk to him about, and just like I was hoping he would, he ignored me. Okie dokie. I have done all that I can. And that's when it all started to come together. And then I hit a pretty good snag. But it actually worked out better in the end. In this state, if a storage unit goes up for sale, the owner cannot purchase it at auction. I didn't know that. But where there is a will, there is a way. They sent letters and called 3 more times, and then the date was set. The unit went up for auction on my birthday. My neighbor went to the sale. He bought the unit for $125. I almost died. And of course, we were in cahoots on this. But we had to make it look like we weren't. The pistol grip, the camera mounts cost more than that, not to mention the lighting, props, and costumes. And of course the camera! Exclamation mark. My neighbor then put an ad in the local paper for photography stuff, $1,000 firm, but didn't list anything specific and oops. Put the wrong number in the ad. A week later he wanted it out of his garage, so he sold it to me for $126. He has a bill of sale from the auction. I have a bill of sale from him. It is now mine, and there is nothing the company can do about it. But they tried. I now have a fully functional photography studio. All the contacts I need to start my own business. And the skills to do it. I started calling all the stores I had worked for the last 8 years and offered them a much better deal than what the company was giving them. I did my own pre-selling, my own photography, and my own sales. Except I took it a step farther. I bought a monitor and computer and let people preview their pictures and order the day of the shoot. They paid in full and I mailed the pictures directly to them. People loved it. No high-pressure sales. No tricks. My customers were happy, and so were my stores. About 6 months after my first independent shoot, I heard from the company. I got several nasty letters from them, which I ignored. Word had gotten back to them that I was using their equipment and that I was working for someone else. I just laughed at them. They thought so little of me that it never occurred to them that it was my business. Then I got a nasty legal letter from a lawyer. It started with cease and desist, rolled into me violating the non-competitors agreement, and ended with the return of their stolen property. They had apparently not told him all of the facts. I sent him copies of everything. I waited a few weeks for a response from him and heard nothing. I finally called to find out what was going on. But no one was available to take my call. How convenient. A few days later I got a certified letter in the mail saying no other legal action will be forthcoming from this office. I would have been content to just let it slide. But this whole thing ticked me off, and now I wanted blood. I made a real effort to really hurt them. Little by little I built my business and my reputation. I didn't have to do any of the nasty tricks that the jerk did. Within a year I had stores and schools calling me. I had more work than I could handle on my own, so I took on a second photographer. Then a third. I actually hired 4 people out from under their noses. At the height of my business, I had 8 additional photographers and a full-time office assistant. I could have grown much larger. And in hindsight, I am so glad I didn't. Digital photography was a huge boon to the industry. And then it backfired. I found my niche in the market just as it exploded. I ran the company completely out of 3 states. They lost all of their chain contracts to me, including the store where it all blew up. The jerk lost all of his stores and ended up working at a gas station. The boss ended up demoted because his district was dissolved when I sniped the contracts. The jerk actually tried to convince one of my photographers to hire him to do the pre-selling for her. By now my name and my business name had a really good reputation. Boss left the company for good and used me as a personal reference. He was a good photographer. Just a rotten manager. and I took great joy in telling the people who called me that I was legally not allowed to tell them what I thought of the man. The age of the cell phone camera pretty much destroyed traditional photography, and I closed my doors as a business in late 2017. The company closed for good in 2016, and I would like to think I had a hand in that. I'm still standing and they are nothing but an empty building. I still have the original rig, but the camera has been replaced several times. I do senior pictures and the occasional venue shoot. Most of my photography is for restaurant menus now. People ask me if that's boring. I've never had a meatball scream, cry or kick me, which is pretty much a daily occurrence when you work with kids. This may not be as epic as some on here, but I beat them at their own game, and that still feels pretty damn good. 341 comments. Award. Share. Save. If you're enjoying this video, like, comment, subscribe, and turn notifications on. Story 4. $7. 5K. ProRevenge. Posted by you. I am herding cats. 9 months ago. 3. 7. 10. I'm a team builder. A few years ago I was sitting in a job interview and the hiring manager asked, "What do you consider the greatest accomplishment of your career?" This gave me pause, as I've been doing the same thing for over 25 years. I let the mists of memory transport me back in time. Dorian, the nurse manager. Kip, the program manager. Dr. Steve, the clinical director. Yes, I had 3 bosses. Closing parenthesis. I started on the unit as an already seasoned, jaded RN, and soon discovered that most staff who worked there were very young and inexperienced. For many, this was their first real job. They assumed all the weird stuff that happened every day was just normal for the workplace. Dorian had decreed that no one was allowed to write incident reports for med errors or safety issues because it makes me look bad in safety huddle. Non-clinical staff allowed to pass meds. Schedule changes without notice. Additionally, the department was easily the most toxic I've ever worked in, with various cliques at constant war with one another. I could go on and on. The troubles began one day when I opened my email to a message from Dorian which stated very curtly that I was being investigated for an incident which had happened on the unit. That I was to meet with HR to discuss it, and for possibly disciplinary action. I was not to discuss the incident with anyone. No date was given. No medical record number. No indication what the issue could be. I replied that I would need the above information, would speak with my union representative, and meet at a time convenient for me. Dorian declined to give information. I declined to meet with him. I began receiving emails almost daily, each more threatening than the last. I printed them all. Contacted my sister, the employment attorney. Tried not to start shaking whenever I had to check my email. I was keenly aware that this is intimidation 101. But it is remarkably effective even when you know that. Because I'm not a direction follower. I was soon discussing this in the break room, and before I knew it had been approached by 3 other women who had all received the same email on the same day. Comparison showed the emails being sent about a minute apart. We did not work the same shifts nor the same days. We agreed to call in the union representative and refused to meet with our. Dorian continued to escalate, including cornering us in the hall, stepping in chest to chest and trying to stare us down. He was a very big guy. Before long we were speaking to more and more women, and it came to light that Dorian had a habit of targeting them with this exact email, followed by others that were more and more threatening until the person would finally meet with HR, get written up for something vague, and then be forced to sign a non-disclosure, no retaliation agreement. It seemed that he had simply picked the wrong 4 women this time because we were not having it. I can't tell you how much time at work began to be spent with people crying while recounting their stories. None had thought to call in the union representative. They did not even know their Weingarten rights. We began to plot. We had limited time. And our company has a long and unglamorous history of protecting people like this. Before long, the entire team was united against the common enemy. LGBTQ staff wrote up statements, backed with witnesses, of grossly homophobic comments. Often in the presence of patients. Staff who were immigrants made statements about racial slurs. A staff who was incredibly petty and vindictive had been compiling a dossier on every perceived policy violation and wrongdoing on Dorian's part since his hiring date. And he prepped it for presentation to our The Graveyard Shift, all huge men, said. Obviously, Dorian isn't trying to flex on us. But we want to help. So they spent a couple nights cruising Dorian's social media posts and capturing screenshots of homo, trans, xenophobic, and misogynistic content. Worried that they hadn't done enough, the night staff paid for a cheap background check, and what a score. DUI, failure to appear, hit and run, domestic violence, assault with a deadly weapon. Did the company not do a background check? WTF. Closing parenthesis. Finally, 2 women came forward with complaints of sexual harassment. One incident had even occurred in the presence of the assistant manager, and one was documented in an email. We were ready. We flooded HR with meeting requests, and our union representative coordinated the assaults so that on Monday we met for simple harassment and intimation. I met first, and HR seemed unimpressed by my complaint. Tuesday, all LGBTQ and staff subjected to racial slurs made their formal complaints. They said that the HR lady looked tired. Wednesday started with the background check, moved into the minutiae of policy violation, and culminated with well-documented quid pro quo sexual harassment. The union representative informed HR that the union's attorney was eager to know how to proceed. HR assured her that would not be necessary. That evening, Dorian posted a sign on his office door saying he would be away for a few days and to contact Kip or Dr. Steve if we needed anything. Graveyard Shift reported that over the weekend housekeeping came and removed everything from his office except his name tag, which the night staff took as a trophy. On Monday, a shift changed the CNO. Coup. And HR met with the team and informed us that effective immediately Dorian was no longer employed by the hospital. We all sat silently and politely until they exited the unit, when a loud and spontaneous cheer went up. People were hugging each other and laughing. High fives all around. Aftermath. To the best of my knowledge, Dorian never worked as an RN again. Frankly, I don't care. Kip was fired 3 days later for having been aware of all that was going on and turning a blind eye. And because apparently he'd been touching women on the unit for a couple years. I hadn't been aware of that, but it came out in the HR meetings. Dr. Steve was also fired for sexual harassment. The unit hired an old manager of mine, who had a long and well-documented history of, you guessed it, sexual harassment. I quit within days of him being offered the job. The department's foray into getting along crumbled. Most of the staff have moved on to other jobs where they seem much happier. What do you consider the greatest accomplishment of your career? I sat up straight, smiled, and said, I took a very fractured team and brought him together to achieve a common goal. I like to think him really good at team building. Edited for a spelling error. Closing parenthesis. 121 comments. Award. Share. Sava, thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe, and turn notifications on.